Hello and welcome back to the Amber Music channel. Today we are going to be reviewing the project files from Exile EP as well as System Error, which is a single I released, because I can't actually get the project files for Stellar to work. So I guess we'll just start with Exile, which we can start with reviewing the intro, which sounds like this. Okay, so you can hear in this intro there are two main things, the pad and the ARP, as well as a respace, background effects, but that's not as important. The pad just has sidechain on it. I don't really know why I put sidechain somewhere where there's no drums. But there's a crash to start the song, which you can hear throughout the rest, which is Impact Smite from Oversampled's Polychrome. Sounds like this. It's just a kind of low tonal-ish, maybe. The pad just sounds like this. You can see I add more, like, kind of a melody. We don't really call it a melody at the top, at the end of the chords. So this is just me writing in a bunch of random notes to try to make a cool sounding chord on a pad in, I think, the key of, yeah, G sharp minor. And then I just added 3 different notes to add a sort of melody on top, which I already mentioned. As a sort of transition element to this, instead of just the impact, I added a glitch from Oversampled's Project X, which just sounds like this on its own. Which you can see leads into another glitch from Oversampled Project X that sounds like this. They're kind of more like sustained kind of sounds, I guess. Then here we have a respace that I made that I will show you all the sound design behind. It's really not that interesting. So it's just one note. You start with Vital Sign 2, which I'm pretty sure is just a factory preset. Yeah, Vital Sign 2. With a bit of detune, pitch down, a bit of tune to mess with quad saw when you add it. Which makes it sound a bit like that. And then I just added like a tiny little frame thing to give it a bit of extra sound, I guess. And then this has a bit different detune, lower level. Don't really remember why I added that. Doesn't really do much. So there's just a filter to make sure there isn't too high of a top end that is automated with the macro bright. I don't think that's automated at all during the song. There's just a distortion, multi-bearing compression. It's a pretty basic Reese. I don't think I changed anything else really. It's just that. So moving on to the ARP, I believe this was the first preset. I used an arpeggiator with the same thing I got from that, which you can hear in the melody. I again don't really remember why there is sidechain on this, because it is never in a spot with any sidechain. So that's a bit odd. but you can see it is in fact a preset, but it's pretty simple. You could make it by yourself if you really wanted to. I believe the preset, yeah, from Clean. Don't remember how I got this. It might just be a factory preset, to be honest. Maybe not. I have a lot of stuff. So that's just the art. It's really not that much. Then there's just the same crash as a transition element, as well as this slowly getting shorter, leading into the build-up, which sounds like this. So you can hear the same erase just going throughout with the same note, but this time I believe I added at least pitch bend. It's being pitched up, I think, yeah, MIDI control pitch bend. I just did that, add some extra tension in the background. Then you can also hear in the background a bass from the drop, not a bass drop, just slowly increasing in whatever. Just sometimes I cut the low end to save that for the drop, which you can see somewhere in here. We'll get to that later. So that's that. There's the same crash, just a riser, very simple riser. Again from Polychrome. And then we have the build-up drums that I made using my dubstep drum rack that I just got from Oversample with a bunch of little modifications apparently, because why not? So it's just a simple, sort of generic kind of thing leading to a chant from the Ace Aura and Chime pack. It just sounds like this. That just leads into the first drop, I guess, that sounds like this. Yo! Let's get it! So it's just a sort of simple drop that I would do. I have a main thing to start it that plays throughout the thing, which you can see is just that, which when you pair it the kick sounds more like a shot than kind of a, it sounds like the LFO just goes down. I don't really know how to explain that, instead of the way the LFO actually moves. It's the sort of side chain, I guess. Followed by a little glitch leading into the main drop sound that I usually have a glitch layer behind, which this is the glitch that I chose for this song, which you can hear throughout the song, like there too. And it's just a background layer you can probably hear throughout most of the drop, which is just another oversampled glitch sound that's, as you can see, chopped up with a bunch of different fades. And then the main sound, which you've all been probably wanting to see, is this. It's actually very basic, just a lot of random effects that you can see I put into highs and lows, which I'm pretty sure this is all just the same compressor that's just trying to get just the sub bass to add a bit of distortion. If I solo that, see it sounds like that, and then this is just cut to be only the highs. I like to do that with my basses sometimes to make it sound a bit cleaner, because I can add a ton of saturation and other effects, as you can see, to that without having it affect the sub. And I guess that's like an A part, and then I usually have a little thing leading into a B part, which has, again, the main thing, and then glitch, and then this time I had two glitches leading to another glitch that leads into that, and then I don't really know why I had it pitched up, I just did, and then it just kind of repeats the same A, B pattern, and I think it's just the same throughout the whole drop. I might change, like, that there, apparently. It should be the same throughout the drop. I don't know if I actually changed anything. So then, I guess moving on to the drums, it's just, like I showed you before, oversampled drums with a bit of stuff put into it. Sidechain, of course. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I just put sidechain on everything instead of having it be a group. The drums sound a little bit like this. So, for the drums, if I get out of MIDI control and back here, you can see it's just a drum rack. We got the kick, snare, kind of forgot. I'm pretty sure the snare was from, yeah, Polychrome. With just hats, two different layers of hats, crash, and then a ride in the background. So I have one hat that's a bit slower rhythm, and then a double rhythm that's a bit quieter. And then just this on the top. The hats are in triplets, by the way. Triplets are superior for hats. And then just a kick, it just 4 to the floor, of course. It's rhythm, what do you expect? And I guess that leads into the break, which sounds like this. So as you can see, it's really just, it's just a pad in the Reese from earlier. It's nothing special. And then it leads into build 2, which is the same as build 1, pretty much. I don't think I actually changed much for this. Yeah, no, nothing changed. So that's drop 2. You can see I changed something using macros here, where I just changed things in the actual vital patch, which is just Reese to Death by Black Lotus Audio. I genuinely forgot where I got this from, but I just automate those, which I did switch up a bit in the first part. So if I go to Vital, you can see the macros being automated throughout the different drop to make it sound a bit different. And I believe all the glitches and stuff are the same. So yeah, the background layer is definitely the same. Yeah, it's the only thing that really changed. I just duplicated the drop from before, changed the bass sound. That's a good way to add a second drop, make it familiar. Yeah, just ends with a crash, basically. Which is the same crash again throughout the sound that you can see mixed in with the glitch and stuff, because I have light. I can't put it all on separate tracks, sadly. So I guess I'll move on to track 2 in the EP, which is Abomination, and please ignore my bad spelling. It's gonna take a while to load. I'm pretty sure I actually made Abomination before I made Exile, so that's kind of funny that it's second and not first. So I guess we'll start with the intro, which just sounds like this. That is just a crash. So it sounds like this. crashes and different effects in the background. A main pad like in Exile. I tried to keep the same kind of theme throughout the songs. This one's just 3 notes though. I'm pretty sure it's just it's just an F chord, I think. Or maybe just an F with like a fifth and octaves. And then I added an ARP for it, and you can see I messed around a little bit right there. You can't really hear, it's more just in the background song. So, it's just kind of I forgot, I don't think I made this ARP, to be honest. I think it's just a preset. Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's just a lot of reverb and delay. It looks like it's just a square and something. It's again by Black Lotus Audio. I apparently used their stuff a lot in this. I think the pad is also by Black Lotus Audio. Yep, unstable. I must have, just put all that up, okay. So for the Reese, I can't remember if I made the Reese or if I used a preset. I'm guessing I used a preset for this one. Yes, by Echo Soundworks. And I think I did automate the filter to go up at some point. Yeah, during the build. So what basically happens is there's crashes. It starts with a pad, just to give you a nice ambient intro with a plucky sort of ARP, just a Reese to add a little bit of bass note and tension, and then just some effects to lead into the build-up, which is actually pretty short for this song, which sounds like this. That is, again, just one thing soloed, which okay, so it sounds like this. So, the drop consists of what you can hear as a bass sound in the background, along with a Reese, which sounds like this, which just has volume automation increasing, and I also believe, apparently no, I did not cut the low end, but you can see all the processing for the drop right there that I turned off for this to make it a bit less, give the drop a bit more impact. I believe this was just the kick for the build drums, and then this is just, I messed around with the snares a lot, so I have a bunch of different versions. Build drums 2, so apparently it's the second one. So that's that. If we look here, there's, as transition elements, I have a riser, a transition, of course, and this, which is actually from the drop. Thought I'd just tease a sound, add a little cut there as well, which you can hear later in the drop. Here we just have a fill from oversampled polychrome, I think. Yeah. Which just adds a bit of transition into this, because originally I had it without the fill and it sounded quite boring. It sounded like this, which it sounds fine, but it just sounds a bit better with the fill. So after that is we have this, which is from Oversampled Ultimate Future Bass Toolkit. I use Oversampled a lot. I recommend their packs a lot. So on this, I just have reverb and distortion. It's the same rack duplicated twice, I'm pretty sure, with just sidechain compressor on it, so it sidechains to the kick. And then I just have this little vocal fill that's also from Polychrome. Check! Leading into the drop, which I'm sure you have all been waiting for, which sounds like this. Okay, apologies if the video is not great. This is my first time doing a track review. So as I showed before, I have a glitch leading into the main bass sound with something layered under it. So we just have the kick and the glitch that kind of adds the sidechain effect that's the same from the bass shot in Exile, where this doesn't actually start until most of that is over. So you can hear a little swoosh leading into this snare here, which I actually got from one of the glitches to transition, I'm pretty sure. It's somewhere, I might find it later and look at it. So I also have another snare layer here, just to add a bit of extra tail. I have the lower layer, which you can actually hear a lot in this song, which this is from, there's just extra glitches here in the thing, which you can hear that's the same as this. So it's just the same, and it just leads into a part with this at the end, which is the same from the drop, that I just put the fill there instead. Leads into a B part, which is, that's all the same. I changed the glitch there and the glitch there. And then it repeats the A part, repeats the B part, and then I think I just duplicated it over again and didn't change anything. Oh, wait, no, I did. I added hats. It's always nice to add hats as like A part of the drop and a B part of the drop, along with the A part and B part of the actual, like, bass rhythm, whatever. So you can see it just adds a bit more energy, a bit, like, helps it flow a bit better, in my opinion. So then just to end it, I just took this part where there's usually the brass fill, and I just took away the brass and just made it that with a transition into the break, which sounds a lot like the intro. So it just has the same pad, the same plucky art, the same Maurice. Just has crashes, like reverses leading into the second build, which nothing changed, I'm pretty sure, besides this, which is a different part from the second drop where I changed things, unlike in Exile. So you can hear I changed the glitches and the rhythm of the background effects. So the glitches just change to a bunch of different things, from oversampled X, which Project X I definitely recommend. It has a lot of glitches. And I use this in a lot, if not almost all of my rhythm songs. Stuff like that, there's a bunch of different things. So you can hear I changed the rhythm, I just chopped like the second half off, or I like, hold up, yeah, I chopped the second half off of like a complete thing, just made it sound like this, which you can hear in the background. So basically I just changed the glitches and the background effects, and that's all I changed for the second drop. And then the outro is, I'm pretty sure, again, just a crash, but this time with an ARP. So I guess that leads us into Abomination VIP, which is just actually a lot different from the original song, which you'll see when it loads. I completely just deleted the intro and stuff and just kept sort of the same notes. I don't really know why, I just decided to. So the intro sounds like this. So you can hear a pad that sounds a bit different. I use the same notes, just switch the pad to another Black Lotus Audio 1 terminal, and then I messed with, I think, the morph and LFO rate. If I find terminal, yeah, I just messed with the morph and LFO rate on that then. So that's all for the pad. It's a nice pad, I like it. And then this is just an ARP. You can hear it's more of like a degraded square ARP is really the only way I can explain it. Degraded might not even be the right word, to be honest. You can see I'm automating yeah, it's actually pretty weird. I'm just automating a bit of the macros here to make it sound a bit better. And then you can see here I added a bit of melody to the ARP that we found before, which just sounds a bit like this, just a transition element. Which you can see the macros being automated in that. That just leads into the ARP, and then that's it. It just leads to the Reese, which I'm pretty sure it's the same Reese from Abomination. Yeah. So, again, it just sounds like this. It's just a simple Reese. Then, if I scroll down, there is the same, like, crashes, effects leading into the build part. Again, another very short, or kind of short build, I guess. Just looks short, maybe. It's because how long the intro is. That sounds like this. So you can see just crashes the riser from Ultimate Feature Based Toolkit this time, which sounds a bit different. Don't really know how that was made. We have the Reese and the ARP continuing. I don't think I actually pitch modulated the Reese. No, I did not. So I guess most complicated part of it, really, it just is the drums, which sound like this. I believe it's actually in triplets, yes. Some of them are in triplets, some of them aren't, and then there's just this little thing I made because I added another snare that I just didn't use. See, it's like slightly different, so it just sounds like, if I go to it, it sounds like this. Which, I really like how that sounds. So, it's just that, I think they just added a bunch of chants and stuff. Just transition elements leading into the drop, which I'm not going to play yet, because you probably noticed the master is clipping a lot. Redlining a lot, but it still sounds kind of smooth and controlled. I have a compressor in here in my user library that I call the dubstep master compressor. It uses the kilohertz compressor and basically just keeps it a bit, it lets it clip without sounding too bad, basically. It doesn't really do much. I modified in most of the songs I use it in, but I find it very helpful. You can go and pause and check it out and save for yourself if you want. So this is what the drop sounds like. So for the drop, I think I actually might have made, yeah, I did make this using a bunch of random stuff. It's based off of FM, I'm pretty sure. Like, if you take away the FM, it just sounds completely horrible if I solo it. Right, and then if I take away the FM, yeah, so it's basically just an FM bass using a thing I got from Black Lotus Audio, just this as the FM, which you can see is like barely turned on, just enough to FM, and then just a separate sub bass modified with a bunch of different LFOs just for random stuff. I'm pretty sure this LFO is actually something weird. Don't remember who I learned this from, but you take voice tune, you put it onto stereo, and you add a really fast LFO to it, and it makes it just sound a bit better. So in effects, you have a multi-band compressor, just add a bit of, you know, multi-band compression. Just add a bit of nice high end and stuff. Distortion, just to distort it and make it a bit better. Yeah. Filter, because without the filter, I'm pretty sure it sounds really bad. Yeah, it just gives it a bit more control. There's a bit of delay. Pretty sure that's just like, I don't really know why I did it actually. Yeah, that's right, it's a little metallic in the background. EQ, just boosting a bit of the lows, I guess. And then here I changed it to sound, I changed the LFO, and then I pitched something down. I don't remember which, and I think that's all I changed. So for the actual drop part that's not just sound design, you can hear this thing repeating throughout the whole drop, which bet you can't guess where that's from. Yep, oversampled Project X. I highly recommend that track for rhythm, dubstep, hybrid trap. So that's what the drums sound like. You can hear a little tom fill, I'm pretty sure, in the middle, and then just an asura chant where the actual drum fill I made is. Just leaning to the B part, which is with that. And then if I move over to the B part of the drop after this, you can see I took this and duplicated it 3 times before starting the actual like drop, in like a little bit of a messing around with the rhythm of that. So it's basically just a modified part of the first drop with that whole thing that I just took, I'm pretty sure the first part, put into here, and then put it from synth to synth, made it a bit shorter, added that, just a bit of an extra, like, B part to the drop that's more of just an extra B part instead of adding, like, hi-hats or something. Just make it a bit different. And then I think this just had a fill leading to a crash with a break, which sounds like this. So it's basically just another part of the intro like before. And then here we have a just more sweeps leading into another of the same sort of build-up. Pretty sure it just sounds the same on both. Bring it! Hey! I'm pretty sure I might have messed around with automation. Apparently I didn't. The automation is turned off, so I just messed around with the rhythm a bit. And that's really all. It has the same from before, where I just switched all of that around a bit. So yeah, it really just changes the rhythm, and then I believe it just ends with the pad and some crashes. Nice. So I guess we'll move on to the last one from the actual EP, which is Dreams, which is the color-based one, I think. So Dreams is actually made in two different projects. We have the intro and build part of it, and then we have the drop project with all the sound design and stuff that I will get into later. But for now, I'm going to play the intro. Or not. I'm going to play the intro. So you can see there is no crash on this one actually, it's just a piano, which I'm pretty sure is Keys Dark Grand from, Keys Dark Grand from Echo Soundworks. I really like this piano, it sounds super nice. I think it's meant to be like a lo-fi piano or something, but I use it for a lot of different genres. You can see I just used MIDI from Ultimate Future Bass Toolkit because it was $50. I bought it. I might as well use the MIDI. Pretty sure it was $50 at least. Then we go into the Reese. That's also from Polychrome. It's just this. That's the right one. It's just a bass sample. It's kind of like a Reese, I guess. There's also a ARP, which has an arpeggiator. I apparently modified Macro 3. It's ARP Anticipation from Black Lotus Audio. I think I messed with some stuff. It's just, I think, basically, that. Just kind of like a filtered background ARP. It has a lot of delay, as you can hear, which is actually pretty cool for this little transition bit into the build up.
Fuck that.
So for the build up, I just have the Reese playing two notes just over and over again. Just sounded weird with the whole chord progression. I have this little sweep, and then the build up that is from the actual project file with all the sound design.
Fuck that.
You're probably asking, where does that synth sound come from? It's here. It's a synth I made. It's actually multiple synths I made that are from the drop that I just chopped up, filtered automation for a bit more of an intro. It just sounds like this on itself. So I'm pretty sure this is just a fill from Ultimate Feature Based Toolkit. Yeah, that leads into the drop, but I'm gonna go to the breakdown first. So basically just this, taken again without the piano, just a bit of a melodic thing with, you can hear a bit of the tail from the drop here. It's just all the reverb. I did just copy and paste the drop and the build up, so it's the same drop, but don't tell anyone. Alright, moving on to the... don't ask about the name. Moving on to the actual sound design part of Dreams, which is why I didn't really care about using MIDI and presets in the other part. So I have here just the intro you heard before, which just sounds like this. I meant build up. I'm pretty sure I said intro. Anyway, polychrome. Oversampled polychrome. I used a lot of the stuff from here is from oversampled polychrome, which is the color base pack oversampled made. I like to use it a lot, mainly because it's just a good pack and because it's also, well, you know, made for color base. So I'm gonna just solo drums real quick. It's just a basic drums, but it's still nice to hear. So it's just a basic little drum thing. For the actual sound design, first I'm gonna let you hear the drop, which sounds like this. So you can hear the sound design for the chords. That thing I made, that's from the Chime in Ace Aura pack on Splice. This is a little laser, just to add a bit of, you know, laserness to the start from Polychrome. I just thought it sounded pretty nice. So I'll start with the synthesizer that I actually made for Stellar, that I just saved and used for this. Sounds like this on sound. Pretty sure I might have modified something. Yeah, macro and stereo routing, just to make it a bit wider as it goes on. So basically what it is, it's just this with LFO2. LFO2 just makes the whole thing, like I showed you before with the voice tune thing, makes it all nice and stuff. That's not a good description. It's basically just stuff being automated up with an LFO with multi-brand compression and distortion, and a lot of it is pitch, and that's really it. There's nothing that big about it. It's just a sound. Moving on to the chords, which sound like this. So for the chords, I have a few layers actually. I'm just gonna start with the sub. It's just a basic sub. I don't actually think I added any distortion. I did, and multiband compression apparently. You can see the LFO there just to keep it with the chords, not make it sound too much of a sustained note, even though it still kind of sounds like that. So there's a top layer that I'm going to go over first. That is this. So basically there's some white noise to add that like top thing. It not that much of a difference without it. The oscillator is just a pitched up saw wave with a lot of unison that is pitched to 1% with no phase. The no phase part is what makes it sound like that. The no phase randomization, and no phase. Just makes it sound really in the middle, just one sound basically. Multiband compression and freezed chorus that I just moved around with this automating oscillator. It just basically automates the volume and the mix of a bunch of stuff in here. The main synth, which was made before the top layer, I'm pretty sure. So it's just like a nice warm saw thing, like I said, with all the phase and unison that really makes it sound like that. The phase and the unison are what makes it sound like that the most. It's not the effects, that's just multiband compression. The multiband compression helps, but as you can see, there's an LFO, which just automates a bunch of stuff. The LFO makes it so that the multiband compression fades in. That's what I was trying to say. So really all that this is just saws with no phase and a bunch of unison. This one's got a bit of a phaser automation on it though. This one's the one that is pitched up twice, which you can hear it just sounds like this. And that's really it. It's not that complicated. It sounds complicated, but it's not. So in the B part, you can hear a square arp, which was slightly complicated to make. The reason why it was complicated was getting the MIDI notes correct. Because as you can see, it was a bit complicated because I had to take the chords and then I had to get the right timing to match with the rhythm of the chords. So it was a bit wonky, to say the least, because I wanted to go up multiple octaves. So the actual thing was something I made. It's just basic shapes, square wave, 16 unison, 5% detune, multiband compression, and an EQ. That's literally all. Well, besides the LFO, that's all it is. It's just a basic ARP. The hard part was the MIDI notes. They took forever. So that's all the sound design in the drop, really, besides, well, this, which is just...
Fuck that.
You know, from Splice, and this is also from Splice. It just, the part that makes it sound the best is the reverb. If I take away the reverb, it just sounds way worse. Compared to with the reverb, it sounds like this. So you can hear just like a background effect. It sounds really nice, in my opinion. That's really all to that drop. So I guess that is all for the actual Exile EP breakdown, and now we go into the system error breakdown, which is a song I made pretty recently, so I remember most of the things I did. Why is it all pink? I don't remember that. Weird. Well, basically, for the MIDI, I just took an oversampled chord thing and just singled one chord because I thought it sounded cool. So really, it's just that. There's a sweep fading into this, which is a factory preset that I messed around with that just sounds like this. It's just like a really glitchy, it sounds kind of like a computer sound. I think it sounds really cool. So I started with that. And this is just a Reese I made with automation attached to it that just sounds like this. So I called this Wonky Reese, which you can see is right there. It sounds pretty cool, but I think it sounds better like this. So that's all. It's just on a note. Pretty sure it's a G or an F. Might be an F. It's an E. I was wrong. And then, is this another pattern ARP? Right. That's an ARP. So it's an ARP on 1/4. It's ARP square. It's back. That just sounds like this. I moved the LFO so it wouldn't be too much of a transient. I think it sounds pretty cool. So the whole intro together sounds like this. Which then leads into the build-up, I'm pretty sure, is just a build loop, and then I cut out the background just to sound like this. I want to fill in a channel. Let's get it! So the drop just sounds like this. Yeah, so basically, it's just a bunch of basses. As you saw, I have to speed up, my battery's getting low. So there's this, which is a glitch leading into the basses. Again, from the whole Project X thing. This is just the same Reese with a bunch of differences. A lot of differences, actually. I think it sounds cool. It's like a glitchy thing. Definitely saving that, adding it to a preset pack later. That's right, preset pack. That's the base that goes along with it. You can see there's a ring mod, which adds a lot. Especially to the second one, there's just a bunch of random effects on it. Pretty sure it's a preset. It's probably a preset. Yeah, it's a Black Lotus Audio preset called Engine. It's really nice. Messed around with some stuff. The second one, I'm pretty sure, is also a preset. Yeah, Fifth Element. Which sounds really cool. And what adds to it a lot is the ring mod. Especially with the kind of like distorted sub bass from up there. Sounds like this. It's really cool. You can see I'm just switching glitches here. Moving on to the breakdown, which just has, I'm pretty sure this one, just in the background.
Fuck that.
So for the next drop, like a bunch of others, I just added a bunch of different macros, edited them, bunch of stuff, you know. I was wrong about which one it was, by the way. It was this one, which you can hear in the background. Was I wrong again? I was. Which one was it? That one. Huh. Can't believe I got that wrong twice. Okay, so you can see it's just a pad, the Reese, the ARP. Here it's just macro changes. I think that's the same. And then the ending is just the same glitchy pad that just gets volume automation out. And that's all. Again, sorry if things did not make sense, if it was overly long, unedited, whatever. It's this is my first time doing one of these videos. It's not gonna be the best. Anyway, see you all next time.